Hi, Aurea. I am here on behalf of Arakim.
That's weirdly formal. Everything all right?
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good. What does he want?
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping you'll give him tips.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary, to keep him on his toes.
Hey, you all right?
Yes. There's something I should have told you, so I'll just come out and say it. I was born in the Enclave.
How is that possible?
Oh, luck or tragedy, depending on your perspective. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here happily for several years. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great aunts for the first few months of my life. So she left with me when I was just a hatchling, with every intention to return.
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father. I don't even know his name.
Isn't it a little strange your mother never told you his name?
She was separated from him so suddenly. She had no chance to say goodbye. My mother is a strong woman, but whenever I asked about him as a child, she could only manage a few words before her face would crumble. She found it too painful to discuss, and I never wanted to pry.
But now?
I can't help but wish I knew who he was.
Is it common for Oberon hatchlings to be raised apart from their fathers?
No, but it is common for extended family to be involved in the raising of children. As you know, I come from a long line of weavers, many of whom traveled in caravans their entire lives. It was apparently quite a shock when my mother fell for a Hearthsider.
So your parents were looking for a compromise when it came to raising you?
Exactly. And I wouldn't trade my childhood on the road. My great-aunts and my grandmother made me who I am, after all.
Still, you missed out on your father. It's natural to wonder about him.
I suppose.
Does your family have something to do with your attachment to the Enclave?
Being here has meant a lot in some ways, and in others, it's very different from what I expected. Meeting the Hearthsiders was a lifelong dream. But the circumstances of our encounter? Not what I'd envisioned.
Knowing now that this is your birthplace, I can see why that would be disheartening.
This was meant to be my home, after all.
This is definitely a twist. I feel like you could have told me sooner.
I am sorry for that. You need to be able to trust me.
So why hide it?
Talking about difficult and private matters is not my strong suit. And frankly, I rarely see the point in dwelling on the past.
I guess you and your mother have that in common.
Ha! You might be right.
So, we're going to find out who your father was.
You would help me?
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on where to start.
Actually, I had an idea myself. The spindle mentioned a statue of my mother. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling my father is among them.
You think there's a statue of your father?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as this great hero. Since she was one herself, is it so crazy to think she might have meant that literally?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what you want.
Good. And thank you.
So, Aurea, what do you make of the Enclave Council?
Their living history. What they've seen, what knowledge they must have preserved. All this time, they've been here, holding down the fort. It's great you've offered to help the axle and the spindle. Just be careful you're not going over the eye's head.
Honestly, I've seen his type before, and I don't trust him. He's slippery. We need to
respect the leader of the territory we're in, Bryn. He's led the Enclave during a crisis. The rules change. He knows more about the Surge, the Enclave, and arguably even magic. Because while we've been outcasts, he's been here, at the heart of our culture. It's something we need to respect.
I'll try.
Good.
Aurea, I'm curious. Why the sudden interest in finding out more about your father?
He was trapped in the Enclave my entire life. This is the first chance I actually have to find out who he was.
Right. But I guess what I mean is, you really never tried to find out more from your mother.
I always had this sense that it wasn't something she could discuss. There was a heaviness in the air when his name came up. She was in love with him. And then she lost him in this cataclysmic event that no one could have predicted.
That must have been unimaginably painful.
Yes. She wasn't a tragic figure, though. She carried it well. You'd never know she was in pain. And truthfully, I had such a good life with my mother and my grandmother. It wasn't like I felt he was missing.
Until now.
Until we arrived here, yes. Something about this place just makes it clear how much I've lost because of the Surge.
Being here makes me wonder. If the Surge hadn't happened, would I have been forced to leave home to become a weaver?
Most certainly not. You would have been a valued member of society, not an outcast. Did you have a good relationship with your mother?
I love her, but we clashed a lot. She's afraid of magic, and weavers, and adventure, and leaving Calnhaven.
Basically, all the things even an Ash Peak Drake couldn't keep you from, let alone your own mother.
Pretty much.
My mother and I had our ups and downs throughout my life, too. As daughters get older, we understand our mothers better.
Any chance our mothers understand us better with age, too?
She'll come around to the weaving, if that's what you're worried about. She loves you, after all.
She does. I know that much.
The Hearthsiders look more traumatized than a beast of burden after a hurricane.
What? Why would you say that?
I would think someone who grew up in the wake of war would recognize the signs. Disorganized and unable to triage their own problems. They're overwhelmed. Suspicious of us despite our clear good intentions, suggesting paranoia. And while their leader is in deep denial of the very real crisis the Enclave is in, the others accept it. They've been stewing in turmoil for so long, it's become their new normal. And it's probably more comfortable for them than the prospect of change.
You're right. They do remind me of some veterans back in Calnhaven.
Saw it 1,000 times over while working in Udea. Aurea may not want to hear it, but these people are completely lost in their crisis.
I spoke to Aurea earlier. She certainly does want to give the Eye the benefit of the doubt. I'm not so sure it's warranted.
Aurea has a case of hero worship when it comes to the Enclave. She can be blinded by it sometimes.
Huh.
It's not to say great things didn't happen here. But at the end of the day, the Hearthsiders aren't gods. They're fallible. Just like us.
And then, Sev and I realized we might be able to repurpose the carapace for more than just loom gates.
Uh-huh.
Purely theoretical right now, but I'm contemplating tangle-resistant gear, or even a protective layer around the caravan.
Dom, I'm a little busy trying to look over these Tarmakine schematics again. Do you mind coming back later?
Oh, okay. You're right. We can discuss theoretical magic anytime. I'll leave you to your work.
Oh. Hey, Bryn.
Everything all right? Things between you and Dom seem off lately.
Yeah, a bit. I'm not sure he understands what my work on the Tarmakine smithing techniques means to me.
Have you told him how you're feeling?
It feels like he's so wrapped up in his own discoveries that he's not hearing me.
He is easily distracted, but maybe you should try again. If there's one thing I know about Dom, it's that he loves you. He must care about your feelings.
Then why isn't he asking about them? Sorry, this isn't on you. I'm just frustrated. I need to do more than just tell him what Tarmakine means to me.
How so?
I need to show him. By investigating Tarmakine practices, maybe I can make some headway on restoring these techniques. Then he'll understand.
Hey, I'm always down to investigate lost knowledge. Especially in the name of love.
You'll help me?
Of course.
Amazing. I'll ask the Axel if she knows anything about Tarmakine smithing in the Enclave.
Great idea. I'll meet you at Cassidy's hold.
That man.
Everything okay?
Yes, it is. I'm probably making something out of nothing. I've just got a lot on my mind. Oh, gods! I forgot to thank him for the hammer. I'd better go do that. That wasn't exactly the warmest welcome. I'm guessing the Enclave Council isn't your biggest fan right now.
I mean, we did let the Surgeborn loose. Even if they should have stopped us from doing it, like Arik said.
A part of it is still on us.
I am worried they won't warm up. But in the meantime, all I can do is try to make amends.
Whatever the Council thinks of you, I'm glad you're trying to help them. I think they could really use it.
Yeah. They don't seem to be in great shape.
Nothing our daring point can't fix.
So, what were you speaking to the Eye about?
Nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
I didn't mean to pry. I just wanted to make sure you're okay.
You want to know if I'm okay?
Yes?
Then how come no one is at all concerned with the fact we can't leave? This isn't my life. Traveling with a Weaver Band was supposed to be temporary. For me, at least. There are things I should get back to in Tarza. And it's increasingly clear no one has any idea when I will. If ever. So no, I'm not okay.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were feeling this way. You're right.
I am?
The truth is, we don't know how or when we're getting out of here. But if you want to leave, we should have made that more of a priority. Or at least made you feel more heard. So we'll work on it. Promise.
Really? What's...
No catch. Apprentice or full-time weaver, what's important to you is important to all of us.
I don't know what to say. But thanks.
Good news. You're going to study with Aurea. Well, there's no reason she wouldn't teach you. Aurea believes in preserving and sharing everything we learn. Times are hard outside the Veil.
Oh, that makes complete sense. I've coordinated lots of operations from Cassidon's hold, but I never had much formal training. More self-taught. A chance to learn from someone with decades of experience is an incredible opportunity. I'll be there with you then, when you get close to the nests. They're in the Bastion's yard and Envoy's Landing in Upper Denevron.
Making yourself at home?
Yes. I've always wanted my own ruined fountain. I don't want to presume, but being here is a nice break from all the politics.
And the eye is okay with that?
I convinced him I would be keeping an eye on you. Frankly, I think he's just glad to be rid of me. I ask the kind of questions that make him uncomfortable. You know, tough ones like, how? And why exactly?
Lucky for you, Aurea loves when people ask those questions. Welcome to the camp, Eric. We're glad to have you, and your insight on the Hearthsiders.
You still call us that?
Yeah, but it's more bitter these days.
Let's. Thanks again for offering to talk to Aurea for me. It's genuinely exciting to learn from someone new for once.
Do you suppose she liked it after all?
The hammer?
Yes, of course. I worry she didn't.
What lady doesn't dream of one day receiving a magic hammer? Actually, with Solar, that's probably true. Seriously, it was a very thoughtful gift.
I had thought so. I'm just a little surprised.
She remembered, just a little late.
It might sound callous, but I'm a little disappointed.
They're in worse shape than any of us expected.
They've done so little to repair the wonders that surround them. How can a society once renowned for its genius become... It makes me question if they were ever as great as we all believe they were.
Some myth to keep weavers going after the...
Exactly. Something for us to believe in, whether or not it was true.
I've honestly been having the same thoughts myself. It's not exactly living up to the stories my father told me each night.
Not just bedtime stories, but books, academic papers, first-hand accounts. I'm just not sure what to think anymore.
flame magic. Unpredictable and powerful.
going to look great. Form and function. Nice to work on something a little lighter every once in a while. nice to work on something a little lighter every once in a while.
Seriously telling me Harmhaven is now...
A resonance, freshly pulled from an ark's pattern, as requested.
By the flames! You can't be serious! This is... incredible!
You know, great archons weren't built with patterns. They formed. Oh, this will propel my research faster than...
What is this about?
Nothing.
Is that so? Then why is this rogue point harvesting archons for you?
Khan Stanild. Isla is the spindle. Patterns are directly tied to her domain when you hear what she hopes to achieve with the arcs.
I'm well aware of my daughter's ambitions, newcomer, and I have given express orders that she is not to pursue them.
Daughter?
The reason you didn't want me studying active arcs was because it was too dangerous to harvest one. But Bryn offered to do it for me. None of our people were put at risk.
The reason I didn't want you researching arcs is because I ordered you not to. Not as your father, but as the leader of the Enclave. This insolence and disrespect will not be tolerated. You will drop this obsession at once, Isla. For good.
Hey, are you...
I can't be seen speaking to you about this subject anymore. I'm sorry.
But...
I need to get back to work. Goodbye. I really can't discuss the arcs with you. Not here.
Don't worry. I understand. I just didn't realize that Khan Stanild is your father.
Admittedly, I wasn't the most forthcoming about that.
I know we're not supposed to talk about the A word, but they're your passion. Why is your father so against you pursuing your research?
He says they're dangerous.
Right, but so are a lot of things in the Enclave.
I never knew my mother. I was born just before the retreat to Cassidy's hold. When my research touched a nerve, he finally told me that she had died in an arc attack on the upper city. He wants me to steer clear of them, but he just doesn't see their potential. Yet.
Are you all right after that argument?
He's been on edge lately.
Since our band arrived.
That didn't help, but our relationship hasn't been great since I became the Spindle. At first, he was thrilled when I was elected, but you're just not seeing him at his best right now. Please, don't judge him too harshly.
I'll try not to. But you didn't answer my question. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Why hide the fact that the Eye is your father?
No. Everyone knows. That's kind of the problem. My father has been in power a long time. And obviously, being his daughter has come with its privileges. But I can't ignore the whispers that I haven't truly earned my role. And at times, I worry they're right.
So, when you had the opportunity to work with us on your own terms...
I took it. I'm sorry. This probably looks bad.
You said he's not at his best. What does a good day look like for him?
I know it's hard to see it, but he is an amazing father. My childhood was wonderful. Growing up in Cassidy's hold wasn't easy, but he made it fun. No matter how intense his job became, he made time for me. Playing dress-up, reading to me before bed, or, as I got older, teaching me the basics of weaving and enchanting. He was my best friend and confidant. I could always tell him anything.
Do you still tell him everything, even now? Just know that when it comes to our Weaver Band, we believe that our contributions are what defines us.
That's comforting. For what it's worth, I did enjoy working with you. But that's in the past. I should get back...
Bryn, you brought your talented smith. To what do I owe the pleasure?
I was wondering if you might have any information on Tarmakine's smithing practices within the Enclave.
I'm not well versed in Tarmakind myself, but I recall one smith who hoped to make the techniques more. You could try searching the guild district in Hydenevron for a registry.
Sola is actually hoping to restore the lost art herself. Anything else I could look for that might help her?
The smithing guild also had an extensive library. You might find a tome on Tarmakind that could be useful while you're there.
Thank you so much.
I admire your ambition. What you're hoping to achieve is no small...
If anyone can do it, it's...
I don't know about that.
I can believe it. Good luck in your...
Oria's father is unlikely to be a Casil woman. Besides, when it comes to nurturing parental figures, Ramanos's shrewd eye for politics isn't what comes to mind.
Welcome to the Institute. Every one of those constructs you've been beating on was conceived in these halls.
Imagine standing among those weavers in the Enclave's prime, fearlessly pushing the boundaries of enchantment.
Well, they broke everything too. Literally everything. So, they weren't that fantastic.
This passage must be the Enchanter's Way.
First hive's up ahead.
Do we have any useful notes on the hives from the previous axle?
Don't bother trying to deal with them. Too scary.
I'm beginning to get an inkling of why they replaced him. I get the feeling the Eye would love to send you out on the surgical with Bryn.
What do you think, Eric?
I'd go in a heartbeat, but I've got dozens of scouts to coordinate. Wouldn't wish that job on anyone else.
The Western Circuit of Musing. Easy to get lost in the Institute's intricate halls.
Arc of the Wintertide. They use sheets of ice as armor. Just be aware they will reform it.
be useful.
This must be the condensing chamber.
The Ramenos Canal, named of course for Arden's right-hand woman, Diane Ramenos. end of the life. I've got you.
Several
Arik, think that'll give the scouts some breathing room?
Absolutely. Khan Arteme will be thrilled. I'll meet you at Cassidy's hold so we can deliver the good news.
The dark water cistern. I could imagine there are many pools like this deeper into the underworks.
Bryn? Oh, welcome back. It's good to see you safe. Could we talk when you have a moment?
Of course.
If that doesn't keep you safe, I don't know what will. Worse than materials, I'd say.
You wanted to talk?
Can you walk with me?
Why all the mystery, Lady Smith?
In a word, I'm worried.
About?
Sev, he's been acting strangely. Has been since we met the Hearthsiders at the Hold. He's going there a lot in off hours, and he honestly looks a little exhausted. Dom, of course, stays up later than us and says he's often slipping away.
Have you asked Sev what's wrong?
I have, and he waves it off every time.
Right. What do we do about it?
Sev has completely cut me off. But you know how I tease Lane for watching us all the time? Maybe that will pay off here. I hate this cloak and dagger stuff.
You do? You seem pretty good at it.
Talk to Lane for me. I'm sure they've seen what Sev is doing, but maybe they also have a guess at why he's acting so odd. Okay, let's go back before anyone gets nosy. And if Sev asks, blood moon cycle. Not sure if Ram blush, but he sure does.
Got it.
Sounds like your work with Isla was a smash success.
Not exactly. She seems less willing to talk to us than ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure of that. She sent me here with a secret message, after all.
She did? What about?
Isla wants you to go to the Archon's Hearth. It needs to be at night, though. She'll sneak away from Cassidy's hold to guide you on the scry here. She wants you to collect Archon parts that may be hard to spot without her help.
The Eye, well, her father, was livid when I brought her the resonance. Couldn't Isla get in trouble for sneaking out?
I know. Oh, she's never been cooler. But yes, she could absolutely get in trouble for this. We should make it a quick trip.
Got it. What parts does Isla want me to collect?
There'll be 3 what's-its, 4 who's-its, and maybe a thingy or 2?
For a guy delivering secret messages, you're not really a detailed note-taker, are you?
Yeah, I glazed over when she started listing the parts, and, well, we decided her sneaking out to guide you on your scry was the best course of action. Besides, even if we knew what the parts were called, there's a lot of junk down in the Archon's Hearth. It wouldn't be easy to spot on your own.
I've been to the Archon's Hearth already. But is there anything you think I should know?
You enjoy diving into restricted areas, don't you?
Hey, it's literally my job.
The Archon's Hearth is where all arcs were created. We lost control of it almost immediately after the Surgeborn appeared. Not that we had much use for it. The Surge hit it hard, and most of the weavers who knew how to build arcs died as a result. But all the materials to build arcs are still there. Hence, the spindle wants you to go.
I appreciate you being the middleman, Eric. Sounds like I'd better get to the Archon's hearth.
Enjoy the trip. I hear it's toasty when you get deeper in. It is basically a giant forge for arcs, after all.
Eric, you don't think you could have mentioned that the spindle is the Eye's daughter?
That's her business to share.
Yes, but it would have been nice to know I was helping his daughter rebel against him.
Instead of helping his unrelated colleague undermine him.
Wow. Mean. But fair.
Your intervention definitely had an impact, though. A number of enchanters immediately started pushing for more. More expeditions, more studies of the Surgeborn, you name it. That's the kind of pressure the Eye was hoping to avoid. But I think him blowing up was a misstep. If I had to guess, that Axel started the rumors.
Do you think that's what Isla wanted?
No. She just wants to keep her head down and not have people focus on the I-father thing. And frankly, I get it. If Khan Stanild were my dad, I'd take it to the grave.
Okay. But if I'm walking into any more deadfalls, a heads up would be nice.
I promise. Unless it's someone's private business.
When we first met at the harness, you were very brusque.
All of you.
Snap decision. I was there to warn you and suddenly my earpiece activated. Someone...
You think it was the Eye?
I do. He'd made some comments about previous off-the-books expeditions I'd done, such as the one where I slipped your band a warning about the flood.
Do you need to sneak around him a lot?
To get things done, I often have to cut through all the rules and limitations. For example, your help is making things happen. The Eye's planning something. I'm not sure the spindle or the axle even know. I'd guess we're all going to be handed orders and expected to deliver on a moment's notice. The Eye always claims he's protecting the people by sharing on a need-to-know basis. What do you make of it?
It really depends. Leaders have to make a call of how much information can be too much. My mother always said that perspective prevents panic. Not everyone has the right context to understand things might not be as dire as they seem when bad news spreads.
How do you decide who has enough perspective then?
It really comes down to picking who gets the info and expecting them to handle it. People rise to the occasion more often than not.
What if they can't handle it though?
Sometimes people need to sink or swim. And then you can help the ones who really need it.
You've given me a lot to think about. I should get back to looking over these reports though. Hey Seth? Watch your back.
We need to talk about Sev.
Wait, you know why I'm here?
I'm a keen observer, and you have no Pangel face. Also, Solar has many strengths, but subtlety is not one of them. Sev, however, is somewhat more adept at hiding things. He's been moving back and forth between here and the hold quite regularly. Let me ask you something. Did you notice anything odd when you were at the hold?
There was a moment when Sev approached the Eye to speak alone.
Ah. That confirms my suspicion, then. Have you noticed that Sev and the Eye wear a similar symbol?
I had not.
The symbol looks to be a stylized... well, I'm not sure, but I think it's something akin to a water wheel. I don't recognize it myself, but given the Eye is wearing it, the Enclave might have some record of that particular symbol.
The archives in the Spire might have something, though I'd rather just ask Sev.
Given his secrecy about this whole affair, I can't imagine he will be forthcoming.
Good point. And yet... Either way, time for a little investigation. Hey, big guy. Everything okay?
Yes, mostly. I was wondering if you had a moment sometime. I might need your help.
Then I might be delighted to give it. Of course. I'll come see you when I have a moment, okay?
Thank you, Bryn. I'll be at my usual place.
You won't find Oria's father running amid statues, you know.
What do you mean?
You know what's most likely to get in the way of tracking down one's lineage? Family. A scholar wants to trace a family line to find connections between key historical figures? No problem. A living relative wants to find their great-grandfather using some oh-so-precious family heirloom? What a headache.
Why?
A scholar is objective. They have no emotional attachment to the family line, no sense of self wrapped up in the results of their study.
And you're saying Oria does?
I'm saying she needs to expand her search beyond Weaver heroes, and without objectivity, her search will turn up nothing.
Oria did jump into this with preconceived ideas about who her father is. I can see how that might cause problems.
It most certainly will if she doesn't come around to the idea that her father may not live up.
I'll keep that in mind.
Food for thought, at least. One of the greatest tragedies of the Surge is the loss of stories. The Enclave might not be that old, but with so many dead to the Surgeborn, their memories most certainly died with them.
I can understand that.
Oh?
My parents' generation tend to stay quiet around the fire. Whatever stories Khanhanders had were beaten out of us by public lashings and prison camps. And we haven't had time since independence to start telling new ones.
Ah, yes. Bryn of Carnhaven. I almost forgot.
Wait, like what Dom called me? You were listening?
I always am. Habit-born of a Udean upbringing, I suppose. But, yes. I suppose the similarities are there, aren't they? A population whittled down by catastrophe. Stories lost. Did you ever have the urge to press a little harder? To try and learn just one or two stories, even if it was painful for the person telling them?
Honestly, in that case, I'm happy to let the past lie. If I didn't want to look forward, I wouldn't have left to join Aaron's Weaver Band. And I wouldn't have ended up here. So I'm here to live new stories, not to dwell on the past.
I understand the drive, but do you think perhaps you might have been running from the grief too? Not to make assumptions, but it can't have been easy growing up in a culture steeped in such loss.
There's joy in freedom. And even though that's what independence promised, I didn't feel like I had that at home.
I understand. The physical chains are gone, but the mental binds remain. Perhaps our presence can help the denizens of the Enclave avoid the same trap.
I hope so.
I took a break from work earlier to watch you on the scry. The way you take down those giant beasts, it's breathtaking. Poetry in motion, even.
If you weren't already journaling your exploits, I'd be dedicating page upon page to them.
I don't get to see myself from the outside very often.
Alas, if only I were an accomplished artist.
Too bad. I want to see how cool I look when I'm fighting 3 arcs at once.
I, can't do much more than stick figures. It might be rather silly.
Well, now I definitely want to see that. Get on it.
I'll, do my best. No promises.
I'm here at your disposal, sir. How can your point help you today?
Have I ever told you how I envy your clarity, Bryn?
How so?
Maybe I'm just romanticizing it, but you seem like someone who's always known what you wanted to do. To be.
I was born in the tail years of a liberation war, Sev. It never made sense to me that I couldn't be anything I wanted. So I just decided.
I wish making decisions came so simply to me. Perhaps you can give me pointers when the time comes. And anyway, I've been working on a side project to help the Hearthsiders. And I'm having trouble sourcing some rarer components.
What are you working on?
I can't say much. But I can tell you it's a project authorized by the Eye himself.
That revelation would carry more weight if he weren't an ass.
I know he can be abrasive, but he's got a plan. Says he's been working on it for years.
Do the Axel or Spindle know about this plan?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't think they have details, no.
But you do?
He's sworn me to secrecy. But I promise you, Bryn, it's nothing against us.
You're sure?
I know I come off as a pushover. But I know when to hold my ground. And would